The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the beheaded body of your dad, I guess. That is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him. Have I done that? I feel like I've done that almost before, which is weird to say that.
Yeah, I guess we gravitate towards a certain kind of film around here.
Yeah. It's like beheadings and dismemberments are common in these kind of things, right?
Yeah, sure are.
Yep.
Yeah, so we are back with Beast of Blood, the, third or fourth installment of the Blood Island series.
Technically the sequel to the Bill Foster cycle, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, this is the first time we've gotten, like, some continuity, actually. So, actually does feel like a sequel, whereas the other ones were all just kind of standalone stories.
Right. How wild is it that we could actually see Eddie Ramon's, like, progression as both a writer and director?
Yeah. Like, it's gotten better and better and more, like, unique. It's gotten, like, he's finding his voice for sure. And I think he's written all of them, but I think this is the first one he directed.
Right.
So I think he kind of like co-directed, like, uncredited on the last one, but this one is his. So like, yeah, you can tell he's got a vision and he's going for it. And it's strange and interesting for sure.
It is something. Also though, one thing that continues to permeate this thing is animal cruelty. We're going to have a little bit of that.
Yeah. Things are...
There's one case where I'm suspecting there was animal cruelty, but I can't verify it because we don't see the animal. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's open up. We got a boat. We got John Ashley as Bill Foster. Some random person's playing ukulele. Is this supposed to be Carlos?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because, we don't have him sort of, like, throughout. Like, he's just...
Right. He's just there to hear in this one scene.
Yeah, because we are... So here, like, at first I was like, oh, yep, here we are. We're arriving on the island again. But no, we're leaving the island. We are picking up right where we left off in the last movie. And... so we see that the thing is hiding in the lifeboat. That's how the last movie ended. So,
right. And the captain talks to Foster about, hey, what'd you think? And Foster says, yeah, I really wish I would have seen the island. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But as you say, this is when the creature just comes in and wrecks house.
Yeah, and it has an axe, which I thought was, like, it's a scary monster. Usually monsters don't have, like, tools. But here, it's as you said, it's wrecking house with an axe on the boat, killing, various, like, sailors and stuff. Chops up several dudes. But the monster looks different. Basically, I think they just got better special effects. But, like, before he was, like, kind of just a guy with a bunch of moss glued on him. Now he's this really creepy skeleton guy that's really cool. Like, it looks good.
It's almost like they took some, like, dog or wolf's head, and that's what the guy's face came out of, or became.
Yeah. Eventually, he does cast the axe aside just in time to fight Foster, because, of course, Foster's not going to get chopped up with an axe.
No, but Foster also comes out with a torch and a crowbar.
Mm-hmm. And the monster picks up a huge barrel of some kind of fuel, gas, oil, whatever. And
it's flammable. That's all that we care about.
Yeah, and so in the torch, the oil, the boat made of wood, we know where this is going. The boat sets on fire.
Big explosion.
Yeah, huge explosion, and then we see Foster unconscious but floating on a chunk of debris.
He's the only survivor.
But then we see the monster floating up onto the beach, and it just wakes up and just walks right into the jungle. So we have two survivors.
This is when we get the credits.
Yeah.
Right. So that means that the lady from the previous one, Carlos, the captain, all gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a little continuity, but we're also kind of cleaning the slate a little bit here. And
new love interest time, right?
Yep. So when we come back from the credits, it's like some time has passed. Dr. Foster is now on the mainland, and he is boarding another ship to go back to the island.
This guy just loves punishing himself, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he meets somebody there. He meets Myra Russell.
Yeah.
Reporter.
Yeah. So she's the love interest bombshell of this movie. But this time she's a redhead, not a blonde, and she is, as you said, she's a reporter. So she's like the first woman we've had in these movies that's got a thing going on other than being somebody's wife or daughter or girlfriend.
Right.
And she's here. She's heard. She's chasing the story. She's heard what Foster's statements about what happened on the island before, and she wants to tag along and see what happens when he goes back. And he's like, I'm not giving you an interview. I'm not interested in talking about this. And she's like, well, I'm coming and I'm going to follow you around whether you like it or not. So you don't have to tell me anything. I'm going to see it for myself.
Right. We have a little brief exchange as he's like, well, do what you want to do with her and the captain, where he's like, yeah, so I see you finally introduced yourself to Foster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they push off.
Yep. And we pretty much cut straight to it arriving a little later. And again, we have the villagers out on the beach watching as they come in.
But apparently the village has somehow changed.
Yeah, Foster's like, the village doesn't look right. And the captain's like, oh yeah, they moved it, down the island a little ways. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's better fishing? I don't know.
Yeah. But hey, we got the chief. He's back.
Yeah. And we do, I think we do finally get, his name is Ramu. Last time we talked, he never really got named. This time he does. They say Ramu over and over again. So, but he doesn't.
Hey, he's officially on the A team, right? He's actually a named character. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody is excited about Foster coming back, and they're even less excited that a reporter is on the island. She tries to take pictures of some of the villagers, and they don't like that at all.
By the way, so apparently the one guy who from the what was Bill Foster before he was Bill Foster, the other guy that he was, not Johnny Bruder.
Oh, what was his name in that movie?
Well, the point doesn't matter, but the guy he met in that movie, who had the really cool cigar, they just call him Andy in this one. We get a name for no reason, and he's Andy.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, this is the only scene he's in. Why? I don't know.
And yeah, so Foster's kind of upset. Like he was coming back to help the Islanders again. He thought they'd be glad to see him. And even Chief Ramu is like, I have not been glad about anything in a long time.
But he has a reason to be glad, because apparently in that time he's had a daughter, or she's grown of age in that time.
Yeah, we definitely did not have this character before. I don't know if she was just, busy doing other things or whatever.
Maybe she was a kid.
Yeah, it could be. But, Foster's like, the chief says, you accomplished nothing. The evil one is back. He's attacking our people. And they also, not only is there the evil one, the creature, there's the green men. And they have been, besieging the town, or the village, basically.
Man, always with these green guys. What's up with them? Right?
Yeah.
So later that evening, Myra brings Foster some canned milk that she poured into a glass. That sounds appetizing, right?
Yeah. And she's kind of flirting with him a little bit. He's messing with his radio array again. And then we see outside a mossy green hand cuts the power.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So that's when Russell comes out and she's surprised by the captain. So we have a little jump scare by the captain. Okay.
Yeah. And so the captain has...
Or Foster. Foster comes out.
Yeah, well, Foster and the captain talk, and Foster's like, you stay inside, I'm going to go see what's going on. And then, like you said, Myra does come out as well. And the captain's like, Foster's got it under control. I'm guarding the door. Go back to your room. Go back to sleep. Everything's fine. And so when she goes back to her room, she doesn't see, but we do, that there is one of the green men peeking in her window.
Well, she does after a moment because he comes inside and tries to touch her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works out. So, like, he creeps in the dark. Outside, Foster gets the generator running again. The lights all come back on. And, that weight kind of like, Myra's laying there with her eyes closed in the dark. And when the lights come on, she opens her eyes. The green man's standing right over her. She screams and runs and manages to get away. So the green man jumps back out the window.
Yeah, he's doing a runner.
Yeah, Foster sees him running and fires at him.
Misses, but Letta Letta's a pro with that knife. She's taken some lessons from Razik whenever she was younger, right?
Yeah, because she stabs the green man, takes him out, and then I think we just cut to like the next day. It's daylight again, and the chief Ramu is leading all of our our visitors to Lorca's house. From the previous movie, and he said, since the fire, nobody has been here. We don't know, we just are letting the jungle take it back, basically.
Yeah, makes sense to me. But also, when they get inside this compound, they find a brand new pair of glasses, effectively. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's weird.
Foster's like, yeah, somebody's been here. If not your people, someone else. So they pry open a board to go in sort of like a basement entrance and crawl in, and inside they find it's gross and run down in there. They find a corpse all worms all over it and everything.
Right.
And then Myra falls through a trapdoor into a snake pit.
This is the first instance of probable animal cruelty, where we have a cobra. We have a cobra in the pit.
Mm-hmm. And Foster shoots it to save Myra and drags her out. And I feel like you're probably right here. I think a cobra was harmed in the making of this film for sure. Yeah,
almost certainly. I think they shot a cobra, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to put too much of a point on that. So we learned that Lorca was never found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the house was basically set up for traps.
Yeah. And the chief is like, I warned you, the evil one. And Foster's like, that was a trap door. Nothing here is evil. It's somebody is trying to scare you. These are man-made.
Men were the real evil all along, right?
Yeah. But the chief's acting like this is a haunted location, and Foster's like, no, there's explanations for all of this.
Right. Well, the chief, is superstitious, blah blah blah, as is the way of things. But yeah. It's not. It's just science. It's mad science, but it's science.
Yeah. And Foster's like, yeah, they know you're superstitious. That's why they're playing it this way.
Right. And he's like, hey, we know that Don Ramon. He's obviously alive. Mm-hmm. I saw him. He messed up everything. So Lorca's probably still alive too.
Yeah, so we need to go into the jungle and see if we can find where they're hiding. And, the chief isn't interested in going on that. Foster's like, I'm going alone. I don't care. I'm going to do this. And then,
right. But I love how Letta's like, you can try that, but also you'll probably die. So I'm going with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the captain also decides to come along. Myra wants to, but Foster does convince her to stay back just because he's like, I think he says, if something happens to me, you need to be able to tell the story to the people on the mainland. And that convinces her because she is still a journalist. Mm-hmm. So inside the house, they see some lights So they start going towards the lights, and they find a head on a table. And then
a suspicious looking head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they see Razik, the henchman from the last film.
So wait a second. Let's take a pause here. So the only one who died was the girl who was in love with Don Ramon. Like, everyone else made it.
Yeah.
Razik, Lorca.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah, the one sort of like innocent, or most innocent character.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of was controlling Don Ramon there at the end, but...
Yeah, a little less... Yeah, I mean, I guess she got pretty villainous there at the end, for sure. But, yeah, so we have, like, Foster and the captain chasing after Razik, firing a gun. Leda catches up to Foster, and at some point the captain has, like, got diverted. He's not with Foster anymore.
Right.
And, so they end up finding, like... what looks like they think this is where Razik went, but it's like a wall. And Foster's like, this is
sealed up.
Yeah, it's got to be a secret passage somehow, but he can't get it to work. But then the captain appears back in the house, and he's got the chief with him, and he's like, there's trouble back at the village. We need to go. So they have to stop the work they're doing in the house. They head back, and we find out that the Green Men kidnapped Myra.
And they kill the guy to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Yeah, so Foster's like, well, where'd they go? And the chief's like, no one knows. No one knows where they come from or where they go. They just vanish into the jungle. And Foster's like, Razik's involved with this, so we need to go back and find the tunnel entrance in the house. That will get us to where they're all going, I think.
Right. So the plan is, all right, once again, Foster's going alone, except Lita won't let him. Mm-hmm. So they're going to go, and they're gonna try and see what's going on up in the mountains.
Yeah. She's convinces him, you need a guide. So
yeah, have you been up in the mountains? No. Okay, I have. Bye. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. So they end up they do make it into the tunnel this time, and it leads into the cave beside the waterfall from the last movie.
Right, but it's like a deeper cave.
Mm-hmm. And so when they come out of the cave, they see Razik and a bunch of henchmen all gathered together with Myra.
What do you think Lorca's recruiting process looks like?
Yeah, I don't know where all these people are coming from, because the villagers are all like, we want nothing to do with him. But these also, these are all like people from the Philippines, so they seem to be... Both the villagers and the henchmen all seem to be the same, race, same group of people. But I think, Foster points out most of these guys, like, these aren't green men. They're just like, just guys. Dudes. They're just henchmen. Yeah. So he's like, okay, well, we can't stop this many guys, but we need to know where they're going, and we don't want to get caught. So I'm going to follow them. This will be a stealth mission. You guys go back to the village, get as many people as are willing to fight, and follow after me. I'll leave a breadcrumb trail, basically, and we'll be able to, stage an assault on Lorca's compound, wherever it is.
Fair enough. I like how Lita actually agrees to it this time. So far she's been like, no, I'm right there with you, bud. And this time she's like, nah, you're good. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, so while all that's going on, we see that Razik... and all the henchmen have stopped to rest somewhere in the jungle, and Myra is slowly getting the ropes untied. She's got her, her hands tied behind her back.
She's gonna make a break for it.
Yeah, so she starts to run away, and I think she steps on a branch or something, makes a sound. Some of the henchmen wake up. They start chasing her, but Foster pops out, and Leda is there as well. She got back in the mix, and they help Myra get away.
Well, for a bit, until she falls into quicksand.
Yeah, she ends up seeing a guy crucified up in a tree and runs screaming into quicksand where, two of Razik's men, I don't think these guys ever get named, but they're sort of the only two that we really spend much time with, that you would recognize them specifically.
I think we can specifically call them like at least tertiary villains because they pop up, or one of them pops up a little bit more than the other. But.
Yeah. So they manage to pull her out, and then they're like, "Hey, we're all alone out here in the jungle. Our boss isn't around.
Right.
Her rescuers aren't around.
Who's to stop us from essaying this lady, right?"
Yeah. So the one guy specifically seems particularly interested in this. He rips her top off and is, getting ready to assault her, but then Razik appears and he's got a gun and he points it at his own henchman's head,
right,
and is like, this is not what we're here for.
Right. Razik is somewhat of a good guy still. More complicated, I guess.
Yeah. So then we just have later Razik and the whole crew continuing through the jungle, and we keep getting shots of the attempted assaulter here. He, he's mad. He's mad that this opportunity got taken away from him. So he's holding a grudge about this for sure.
One that he's going to nurse for a while.
Yeah. So we have Foster and Leda continuing to follow, and then she's like, our plan's already messed up. We all this commotion, we didn't leave the trail we promised. Somebody needs to go back. And Foster's like, all right, then go back. I don't want to lose Myra. I'm staying on the trail.
Right.
And he's like, I think if Razik catches me anyway, I don't think he's going to hurt me. I just have a hunch that I'm more valuable to Lorca alive than dead.
Right. It's like Lorca has to have someone to talk to, and Foster knows this. He's like, he's going to explain his evil plan to me. It's fine. Yeah. I'm okay.
And Leda agrees to the plan, but she's like, how long have you even known Myra? And he's like, oh, not long. We just the trip over here.
Right. And she's like, hey, your previous girlfriend died in that explosion all those years ago. How long has it been since you've been with a woman? Like, what kind of line of interrogation is this?
Yeah, and
we know where she's going with it.
But. Yeah, he's like, I could ask you what you meant by that, but I won't.
Yeah.
And so he lays down to go to sleep, and suddenly there she is, topless.
Right.
And she starts kissing him.
She's like, I'm going to show you what the fuck I mean.
Yeah. And he does kind of make out with her for a little bit, but when she tries to like push beyond that, he's like, no, I'm not into that. I'm not ready for that.
Right. I don't want it to get that serious, which he won't have a problem with Myra. So I don't know what that's saying, but yeah, I guess maybe he loves Myra, quote unquote.
Yeah, possibly. So then the next morning we have Razik and his crew continuing through the jungle, and they arrive at a large idol in the jungle. I think, is this the same, like the sacrifice idol from the last movie?
I think it's supposed to be. Or the one before last.
Oh, right? Yeah. But like before, it was kind of in like an open field, but now it's, or not a field, but like an area.
Yeah, we're getting weird continuity. Which is
so
wild.
I wonder if this is, we talked about them like moving the village, so maybe they've just like the jungle has overtaken this whole site, because it's just kind of overgrown now.
Right.
And then we see there's Lorca. He's got burn scars all over one side of his face, and an eye patch, but he is still alive. Dun
dun dun.
Yeah, and so he instructs Razik to bring Myra to his quarters. And then we see that his, we're in the middle of like overgrown jungle, but his quarters are still very high tech.
Right. Now, we may have skipped over something, because at this point, doesn't he immediately go to talk to Don Ramon, who is like a head and a body?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I know you can talk, you SOB. Why won't you talk to me?
Yeah, because he says I guess Myra's supposed to go to his room, and he goes down to his lab to talk to Ramon in the meantime. And it's a decapitated head on a table and a body on like a Frankenstein slab. And both
I'm not going to lie, this was really cool. Like seeing the head, like obviously it's the magician's trick, right? Where it's a person inside of a box moving around the head, but it still looks really cool.
Yeah. And it's like, because because the face has like a lot of makeup to look like a skull and everything, they could have easily like done something lazier, and it would have been fine. But like like you said, doing the magician's trick and having it be a real person's head, like you just get movement, you get eyes blinking, and facial just movement that makes it feel so much more real and creepier. And they're doing something similar. The body on the table, the arms move a little bit, the hands move. So Lorca talks to him, and he says, "I know that you are capable of rational thought and speech now because of what I've done, but you refuse to communicate." And like he's mad about it. He's just like, he like Foster predicted, he wants somebody to talk to, and he's mad that Ramon won't be that person.
Well, Ramon likes to hold a grudge, and he's really good at it.
Yeah. So Lorca's like, eventually you're going to have to talk. I'm your only chance at getting better. And he storms out, goes to his room where Myra is waiting. And no introductions necessary. They both know who each other is at this point. And so she's like, "Why did you kidnap me? I'm new to this whole. This is my first time on the island. We've not run into each other. What good am I to you?"
He's like, "Oh, you're an insurance policy.
Yeah,
I need to get Foster up here.
Yeah, and I need Foster to come cautiously. And if he's trying to make sure that you don't get hurt, he's not going to come in guns blazing." And
so he does know about Foster. Good deal. Like they're 1 or 2 meetings. He's like, "All right, I got the measure of this guy."
Yeah. So he sends her to her room, says Razik will take care of anything she needs. And then we see outside, on the outskirts of the camp, Foster is creeping up. He ends up stepping on a branch and making a sound. So there's one guard that hears and kind of like heads that direction to see what's going on. And somehow Foster manages to flank him. And like they end up getting into a fight, and Foster flips him into like a spike trap.
Yeah. You gotta love that old gag, right?
And so when he falls in the trap, I think he screams, and so now 2 other guards start coming, and one of them being our main sort of villainous henchman, and somehow these 2 guards end up bumping into each other and scaring each other, and one kills the other in the process.
Right, but the basically the two grape enthusiasts. One ends up shooting the other, and then the one guy gets mad about it. He's like, "Oh, somehow you tricked me to shooting my own friend."
Yeah, of course. So then we cut back into the jungle where the chief, the captain, and the captain's sailors and the chief's villagers are all being led by Leda toward back to where Foster is.
Right. Well, they're gonna surprise them and like create a diversion, I believe.
So then we have our one surviving henchman guard goes back to talk to, I think he talks to Razik and is like, my men, they're all dead. Like I'm the only guard left. I'm not sure who all is in the jungle, but they're clever and sneaky, and they're taking us out one by one.
Right, and Razik's like, "All right, I'm just going to kill you because you failed." But Lorca stops him. He's like, "Wait, hold up. That's Foster. He's coming. This is everything we wanted."
Yeah, he'll be here soon. So then we have, a dinner scene, which again is such a part of all of these movies. We always get this like exposition dump dinner scene. And so this time, Myra asks Lorca about his opinions on like the murder thing, violence, stuff like that. And Lorca has a pretty interesting, a very like mad scientist Frankenstein kind of view here that it feels like is still sort of something you'll hear from high level corporate entities today. He says, well, if I'm caught before my work's done, or if my work fails, everyone will call me a sadistic mass murderer. I will, I'll be put to death or imprisoned for the rest of my life. But if I succeed, I will be lauded as a savior to all mankind. And there's plenty of evidence for both of those. So basically he's saying both are true, both can be true, and the murder is necessary for the savior thing. So I'm willing to become the sadistic mass murderer that I have to be in order to achieve my scientific goals.
So it's odd, though, like how good the complicated, like he's obviously a villain, but he's also like an earlier example of a villain that's doing it for quote unquote the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is a complicated figure. He again, these movies are great because it's not cut and dry, obvious, like, I mean, Lorca's definitely going about things in ways that we would call the wrong way, but he's doing, he has the best intentions here. Like, he's not just like a mustache twirling black hat kind of villain.
Right. Which that's pretty good to see, or pretty nice to see this early on, and well, not early on in film. I guess it's kind of late, but still, like for the time, for the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, yeah.
Normally, we're still getting the mustache guys at this point.
Yeah.
All right. From there.
Yeah, dinner ends. Lorca says we're going to continue with our experiments in the morning, but Razak, go ahead and take Myra back to her quarters in the meantime. And then we see all of our hero groups all have kind of met up back at that idol that we saw. And the chief's like, "Oh no, we can't go here. This place is taboo." And Leta's like, "Yeah, that's why we need to go there. That's obviously where he's hiding because he knows you people are too superstitious."
Right, but Foster's like, "Yeah, but also I'm going to go alone finally because I know Lorca won't touch me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm safe."
Yeah. So the plan is I'm gonna go in solo, draw their attention. They'll think that I came alone. That's it. And then you all can come, like, basically do a pincher maneuver on the camp. Like, captain and sailors on one side, chief and villagers on the other side. And, we'll...
And then I'm in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before he leaves, Leta wants to say goodbye. And she, again, kind of, like, a little bit puts the moves on him. And he's like, I understand that you have feelings for me, but I don't have feelings for you. And I can't, I wouldn't just have sex with you without binding myself emotionally to you. He is he's a romantic in that way. And he's like, it wouldn't be kind to you to do this if I'm not committed to having a relationship with you and I'm just not there. So, good luck. And we'll see each other on the other side, basically.
Well, also she's like, yeah, I really want you to get away from me right now because you're making me annoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like, she says, something like, I respect that you're a good person, but like, yeah, I don't want to see you right now. Like,
right.
And she basically, she knows that he and Myra are falling in love, and she's just kind of frustrated about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, well, I would say it's unfair to her, but still, like, I don't know. Kind of weird, but
yeah.
Me personally, I think Lita's pretty attractive, so whatever.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we go back to the lab where Lorca and Razak are starting to work on their experiments. And I thought it was kind of funny here. We have like a lot of, Lorca using a scalpel and cutting open, like fake rubber bodies, and like we're getting a lot of.
I really hope it is, dude, but I'm kind of worried it's actually an animal. Like there was a lot of meat and gristle there.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Yeah, I thought it was interesting though. Like obviously, this is a lot more graphic than we had in Terror Is a Man, the movie that required a bell to warn us that a surgical scene was getting ready to happen. Yeah, things have changed quite a bit since then. Meanwhile, back outside, the plan all sort of commences. Foster strolls into the camp, just, unafraid and unarmed. And, like, I think Lorca, like, sees it on a monitor or something and sends Razak out to bring Foster inside.
He's like, oh, my boyfriend's here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he stops the surgery and ends up meeting Foster at the door with Myra, And there's just kind of this like, tense sort of standoff here, where like, Lorca's like, so what brought you back to the island, and what brought you to my camp specifically? And Foster's like, well, I came to the island to stop the monster because I heard it survived. And I didn't even know you did. You were not on my radar at all till you kidnapped Myra. And of course I was going to have to come, save her. And yeah, Lorca's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I only actually kidnapped her because I wanted you to come visit.
You.
Foster's like, why didn't you just kidnap me then? And he was like,
oh no, I know about you too much, buddy. You're too much of a problem.
Yeah.
I need insurance.
Yeah. So Foster's like, okay, fine. So I believe you got something you want to show me. Is that what this is all about? So, Lorca takes him down to the lab, and, he says, I was damaged in the blast, but Ramon was as well, but we both were able to survive with Razik's help. I had trained Razik in my arts, and Razik was able to save me and keep Ramon alive until I was healthy enough to work on him. But, unfortunately, I had to remove the body from the head because he was so violent and it was dangerous.
Right. He was capable of rational thought. However, he wanted to do too much violence.
Mm-hmm. So now I want to now that I've got the head sort of like under control, I've got to figure out how to reattach them. It was easy to take it apart and keep it alive, but putting it back together is a little harder.
Right. And as we've seen, he's been trying to attach heads to the body to get it just to work for some reason. It's not succeeded yet.
Mm-hmm. And so Foster's like, so you're back to your old tricks of just like killing villagers and using them for your experiments. And Lorca's like, yeah, your original analysis has been vindicated. I'm madder than ever, which you rarely get a mad scientist who just really leans into it. So I enjoyed that.
But we also learned it's been 7 years since the last movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot's happened in that time. Foster now is also, in the same way that Lorca is a complicated villain, Foster is now a complicated hero. He's like, I have a more nuanced view of the world. The Foundation fired me. Sometimes the people that you're fighting for will turn around and cut your throat. So he's still obviously a hero. He's still the good guy, but he, is willing to see shades of gray in a way that he wasn't in the previous movie.
Right. Which, that's kind of refreshing. And Lorca loves that. He's like, I think he goes back to Russell and he's like, well, your hero is a little bit more, nuanced than we thought he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's grown as a person.
So Lorca tells Razik again to escort Myra to her quarters and Foster to his. And before Lorca leaves the lab, he again talks to Ramon, who is not responding, and he says, be stubborn all you want, but the day may come when I no longer have need of you. And he leaves, and then once he's gone, the Ramon head, you can see it kind of like concentrating, like gritting its teeth sort of, and we see that the body, the hand is kind of moving. He's able to control it sort of telepathically, but just a little bit. It's very difficult.
He's doing a reanimator before reanimator. Mm-hmm. How wild is that?
Yeah.
But also, we get his first lines, which he says, the day may come soon, Lorca. Yeah. The day may come soon.
Yeah.
So he won't need him after too much longer either. So
exactly, yeah. So we have like later on, Foster is talking to Myra about how she's been while kidnapped, and she's not happy. She's like, Lorca, he's tried to convince me to swear loyalty to him. He wanted me to have a baby with him to seal.
And he said, but how wild is it though that afterwards she's like, yeah, and if that didn't work. I was to have a baby with you.
Yeah.
To keep you here.
Yeah, which is wild. And Foster's like, don't worry, I'm going to keep you safe. And she's a little skeptical now because we've seen Foster has his sort of like, gray area stuff now. And he's like, I'm not here to team up with Foster.
With Lorca.
Or with Lorca, yeah. Give me some credit. And she's like, I'm just, this has been overwhelming. I'm just too scared to think anymore. And I hate that I've ended up as the knuckle-headed damsel in distress. And he tries to comfort her. He does like the classic, male hero in a movie thing where he's like, shut up, and he kisses her.
Right. And then they have sex about it.
Yeah. So, he didn't want to bind himself to Leda, but he seems like he's ready to bind himself to Myra.
And maybe he has a type. Who knows?
Yeah. So while they're having sex, the plan out in the jungle continues. We have the two arms of the pincher sort of surrounding the village, or the compound, and then we have Razik going to like a little jail cell and selecting a green man to use on the experiment.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he's these are where they're getting the heads to try to put on the body. So Lorca's working on that as Razik brings the next guy in. Meanwhile, we see some of Lorca's guards are just like sitting around playing cards, and we have like the chief's men sneaking into the camp, and I think like two of the guys playing cards here, and they get up to go see what's going on. And we get a great bit where like they had heard movement, and then they come to a little clearing, and it's just a goat standing there. So they're like, oh, okay, it must have just been the goat. And then the chief's people
throw a rock at the goat.
Yeah, but then the chief's people attack those guards. They end up like throwing a grenade into like the little tent where they're playing cards and just rushing the camp. And wisely, the first thing that they attack is the generator. They take out the electricity to the camp.
Yeah, one guy specifically is armed with a grenade just for that generator, baby.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I love how we get like a Rambo action scene before Rambo was a thing.
Yeah, true. And it's like as soon as Foster hears the explosions outside, he rushes outside to join in the fight. I think he's got a machine gun. There's a lot of guys with
he kills a guy.
Oh,
he kills a guy and steals his machine gun.
Gotcha, yeah. And then we have the captain and his men rushing in from the other direction. So yeah, it's a full-on brawl.
Firefight! Do. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But we see underground, Lorca is just continuing with his experiment. He's not going to let what's going on outside distract him, but he does tell Razik, go upstairs and kill Foster.
Yeah, we're done with Foster now.
Mm-hmm.
Our romance is over. He's ruined my plans for far too many times.
Yeah. But in the midst of the chaos outside, our one main henchman, who we hate the most, takes the opportunity to grab Myra and try to drag her away from from this violence so that he can do his own kind of violence.
Right.
But
that gets stopped real quick.
Yeah, Leda pops up, and as we mentioned earlier, she is good with the stabbing, and she just stabs the shit out of this guy.
Well, that doesn't seem to work, though, because he knocks her down, and he's like, well, I couldn't do it to Russell, so I'll do it to you. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Russell grabs a spear, and she goes to town on him, too.
Yep.
So what he was going to do to them, they arguably did to him.
True,
which,
yeah.
Poetic. Yeah. Very poetic.
Yeah, I really appreciated that we had this, especially after, Myra was just complaining about feeling like being a damsel in distress. We have this moment where these two women team up together and take out, a specific, kind of masculine violence. So, yeah, I thought this was
the
a
true
great
monster
scene.
of the film.
Absolutely, yeah. So this great scene. Really, really appreciated it. Meanwhile, we see Foster, going through the violence, with his machine gun. He sees Razik coming his way, and again, because this is gray area Foster. He's not, the pure-hearted one. He just calmly and cold-bloodedly just guns Razik down.
Right.
It's not an honorable we're gonna face off and do a fight. He's just no, fuck that guy. Just shoots him.
Right.
Really, really great.
Well, he remembers the last time Razik had the upper hand, so he's like, nah, we're not doing that game. We're not playing that game, buddy.
Yeah. So a bunch of the villagers get to the cell where all the green men are locked up, and they break it open and free them. And Leda sees that among them is her dad.
Well, I thought her dad was the chief, or is her dad the gray-haired guy?
Oh, well, yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe he's her grandpa?
Yeah, she says something early on. I can't remember but yeah, she basically says that like the green men took this, relative of hers, and she sees him here. He has become a green man. She thought he was dead. So yeah, it may have been her grandpa or uncle or what, but like, yeah, so...
Or they just actually forgot who the dad was, and this is the dad. Who knows?
It could be, yeah. So, Lorca obviously sees all this is going down and that things are not going his way.
So what does he do?
He packs
up his shit, right?
Yeah, yep, gonna escape. And at that point, Don Ramon's head finally gets enough power and is able to control the body enough that it breaks free from its straps and sits up off the table, and the head says, "We can talk now, Lorca."
Man, so that gave me chills.
It's really good.
Yeah, he's like, "We will talk now," as he starts beating Lorca to death and smashes his head with a computer component. Mm-hmm. Like a computer.
Yeah. And we have, like, explosions, bits of the ceiling are collapsing. And we see, like, Ramon, obviously, like, this whole thing, like, Lorca keeps saying, "I'm the only person that can bring you fully back to life. I'm the only person who can save you." And you kind of get a sense here, like, as the head is watching his body crush Lorca and as the ceiling is collapsing, you kind of, like, get this resignation in the face where it's just like, I don't want to live as this monster anymore. I want to kill this man who did this horrible thing to me, and then I want to go. I want to be done.
Right.
So he kind of, does a Samson basically and just lets the building collapse on the two of them.
Right. Which is wild because technically he killed his wife and son. So why not, right?
Yeah. So we see outside the villagers have started just like setting fire to all of Lorca's camp.
Yep.
And
they're finishing it all off.
Mm-hmm. And Foster makes it out of the building, and he's got this big like stack of papers from Lorca's lab. And so as everybody kind of escapes the burning camp, the chief is like, "What are you going to do with those papers?" And he says, "Nothing at all, I hope."
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure why he didn't just burn them if he doesn't want anything done with them. I don't know why he's giving the possibility of them carrying on.
So is Foster going to become our new villain?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what they're trying to say. And there's so after he says that, we get one last scene that maybe is just like a little, kind of B-roll footage, or maybe it's trying to be like, cliffhanger or whatever, but we see all the heroes going into the jungle, and then the camera just really lingers on one guy who we've not seen before, just a villager, and he's carrying a big wooden crate.
Right, but it looks very important that he's carrying that big wooden crate.
Yeah, is this Don Ramon's head, or is this some of Lorca's work, or who knows? I'm not really sure but they're definitely lingering on it in a way that makes me feel like they're trying to say that
sequel bait.
Yeah, for sure. That Foster's probably going to need those papers. But then, that's how the movie ends. We go to credits from there.
So abrupt ending? Question mark?
Sort of abrupt, sort of cliffhangery, but like in a way that doesn't entirely make a lot of sense. And as we will see, does never pays off. We will not get any more from this.
Oh no! Oh, that's sad. But well, I'm kind of done with that aspect anyway. So that's it.
That's it.
But that's not really it, Anthony, because we are going to come back for a little bit more blood. This time, a brain of blood?
Brain of blood, yes. So, as I have kind of been hinting, there's a lot of debate over how many movies there are in this series. There's one more movie that Eddie Ramone did that some people call part of the movie that's called the Yellow Beast of Blood or something like that.
Interesting.
That movie we're not talking about because it's not on Blood Island and it's not Frankenstein-y at all, as far as I can tell. I've not seen this one. But instead, because Eddie Romero kind of moved on,
Eddie Ramone went on to write songs, right. form a punk band.
But yeah, IIP, the company, doing, producing the movies in America or making them available to American drive-ins. They wanted more Blood Island, so they decided to do it themselves, and that is Brain of Blood. Oh, and that
interesting.
The one that we're not doing is called Beast of the Yellow Night. I want to get that title right. So we're not talking about that one. But if you've been really enjoying the Eddie Romero stuff, you may want to check it out. Because I believe it also stars John Ashley, but he's a new character again. It's a whole own thing. Yeah. So we won't be talking about Beast of the Yellow Night, but we are talking about Brain of Blood. We will have some other familiar faces. There'll be some fun stuff to talk about when we get to that for sure.
Yeah, but I can only imagine how bad that one's going to be, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it.
Where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also over on YouTube. And, of course, you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we've got all kinds of strange odds and ends. If you want to support us monetarily or just want to double the amount of episodes you're getting every week, that's the best way to do that.
Yep, a lot of fun stuff over there. A lot of wild projects we've been working on, messing around with the Munsters Today, some Creature Commandos if you're into that. Just all kinds of crazy stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. We'd love to have you.
All right, well, anything else we got to say about it?
I think that's it.
All right, well, thank you one more time, and to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.